On the 2nd of October, 1999, 3-year-old Jared Adedero went on a hike in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. He was never seen alive again. Jared was a curious, happy little boy with a bright smile and untied shoes he hated tying his laces. His father, Alan, was a single dad raising Jared and his 6-year-old sister, Jocelyn, at a resort he co-owned deep in the Colorado mountains. That morning, 11 members of a Christian social group staying at the resort took the two children on what Alan believed was a short trip to a nearby fish hatchery. What he didn't know was that the group had decided to hike the Big South Trail instead, 15 miles of rugged wilderness at 8,400 feet above sea level. Nobody told him, and nobody took responsibility for the children. The group split into two, faster walkers ahead, slower ones behind, and somewhere in between, Jared ran ahead on his own. At around 11:30 that morning, two fishermen at a nearby campsite saw him alone on the trail. They spoke to him briefly. They weren't concerned, because they could see a group of hikers about 80 feet further up ahead. They assumed he belonged to them. He didn't. That was the last confirmed sighting of Jared Adedero alive. It wasn't until 12:15 that afternoon that the group realized they hadn't seen him for over an hour. Panic set in immediately. Some members ran back to the resort to tell Alan. He drove to the trail in a panic, beating his chest and repeating the same words over and over. "They lost my baby. They lost my baby." What followed was the largest search and rescue operation in Larimer County history. Over 200 professional searchers, a dozen dog teams, professional trackers, a dive team, a search plane. They covered every inch of that trail for 6 straight days. During the search, a rescue helicopter stalled 100 feet in the air and crashed. Everyone on board was injured. Still, no Jared. After 6 days, the search was called off. The case directly led to the Colorado governor signing the Amber Alert plan into law. But for Alan, there was no law that could bring his son back. Then, on the 4th of June, 2003, nearly 4 years later, two hikers came across something on a steep slope, 500 feet above the Big South Trail, clothing tattered and torn, a pair of sneakers, and nearby, a skull fragment and a tooth. DNA confirmed what the family had feared for 4 years. It was Jared, but what investigators found raised more questions than it answered. The slope where his remains were discovered was a 45-degree incline of loose rock and steep terrain, extremely difficult for a trained adult to navigate, completely impossible for a 3-year-old in untied shoes. His pants were found inside out. His sneakers were in near perfect condition, despite 4 winters in the Colorado mountains. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation found no blood on his clothing, no animal hair, no evidence of a predator attack, just 2 unidentified hairs that were never traced to any known source. The official cause of death on his certificate reads, "Undetermined, probable mountain lion attack," but the inside-out pants, the pristine shoes, the location of the remains 500 feet above a trail that a 3-year-old had no business reaching. None of it fits a mountain lion. None of it fits a lost child either. Jared Adedero's case remains officially unsolved. His father, Alan, has spent over 25 years searching for the truth. He has never stopped. What happened to Jared in those mountains? Nobody has ever been able to fully explain. Riker Webb. On the 3rd of June, 2022, Riker Webb vanished from his yard in Troy, Montana, a town of just 800 people surrounded by the kind of dense, predator-filled forest that doesn't give things back. His family had recently moved to this isolated area. That afternoon, Riker was outside playing with his father and the family dog, just a normal summer afternoon in the yard. His father stepped inside the house for a few minutes. When he came back out, Riker was gone. The family dog was still in the yard. It hadn't followed him. It was just standing there, staring into the tree line. The family searched the surrounding area for 2 hours before calling the police at around 5 o'clock that evening. Within hours, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department had deployed ATV teams, dog units, drones, and a boat to search the nearby Bull Lake Valley area. That first night, a severe thunderstorm hit the valley. Lightning, heavy rain, temperatures dropping into the 40s. Somewhere out in that darkness was a 3-year-old 3-year-old boy in a t-shirt. The search resumed at first light. The Montana Air National Guard sent helicopters. Flathead County and Spokane Police joined with additional drone teams. Over the following 2 days, hundreds of searchers covered miles of dense mountain wilderness. A code red alert was sent to every phone in the area asking residents to check their sheds and properties. 2 full days passed. Nothing. Then on the morning of Sunday, the 5th of June, a couple drove out to check on their remote cabin in the Bull Lake Valley area, 2 miles from the Webb family home. As they walked toward the back of the property, they heard something coming from inside the generator shed. A small voice, murmuring, rhythmic, like a child talking to himself in the dark. They opened the shed door and found Riker Webb curled up inside a lawnmower bag. Lincoln County Sheriff Darren Short said they heard a little boy's voice from the shed out back where they keep a generator, so they went to the shed and there he was. He was very, very scared. When Short arrived and crouched down to speak to Riker, the boy was visibly shaken, barely responsive, eyes wide and fixed on something past the camera. That photograph, taken moments after his rescue, went viral across the world overnight. Short asked Riker several questions. The boy shared that he went for a long walk by himself, and then he got tired. That was all he said. He was taken to Cabinet Peaks Medical Center for evaluation. Hungry, thirsty, cold, but physically remarkably intact. No serious injuries, no animal attack wounds, no signs of severe exposure beyond what 2 nights in 40-degree temperatures should have produced in a child his age. And that is where the questions begin. 2 miles through dense Montana wilderness, at night through a severe thunderstorm, in bear and mountain lion territory, across a county line, into a shed that had a door, through severe storms. National Guard helicopters, drones, and ground volunteers scoured the wilderness for 2 days without finding a single trace of him. Not a footprint, not a piece of clothing, not one sign of which direction he had gone. And yet a 3-year-old in a t-shirt navigated all of it and ended up inside a generator shed 2 miles away in better condition than anyone had any right to expect. The official explanation from Sheriff Short was simple. Riker walked into the woods looking for bugs, got lost, found the shed and sheltered inside it during the storm. Short confirmed the case remained open after the rescue. We're still looking into why he disappeared and why he wasn't being watched closely, he said. It mirrors almost exactly the case of 3-year-old Casey Hathaway in North Carolina, who disappeared from his grandparents' yard in 2019 and was found 2 days later in a swampy area that adult investigators could only access by wading through waist-deep water. When Casey was asked how he survived, he said a bear kept him company for 2 days. Both boys, both 3 years old, both found in locations that made no physical sense for a child that age. Both in better condition than the terrain and the weather had any right to allow. Both with almost nothing to say about what happened. When Riker was found, he was talking to the dark inside that shed. Nobody knows what he was saying. Nobody knows who he thought he was talking to. And the only person who was there for those 2 nights in the Montana wilderness is not old enough to explain it. Riker Webb is home with his family. Attempts to reach the family for further comment have been unsuccessful. He is older now. Whether he remembers those 2 days in the wilderness, whether some part of him carries whatever happened out there in the dark, only Riker knows. And he isn't talking. Dane Paulson. On the 1st of March, 2025, 2-year-old Dane Paulson disappeared from his family's property in Siletz, Oregon. That afternoon, Dane wandered out through the back sliding glass door of the family home. He was wearing a gray, fuzzy hoodie with little ears on the hood, black pants, and blue and white shoes. Dane loved being outside. He was especially drawn to water. Behind the property was a trail that led directly to the Siletz River. When his family realized he was missing, a massive search operation began. Hundreds of volunteers joined search teams. Divers searched the river while drones scanned the area from above. The Oregon State Police, search and rescue crews, and the FBI all became involved. For 10 days, searchers worked through the area looking for any sign of the missing toddler. The only clues recovered were a small footprint and a toy found near the riverbank. As the search entered its 2nd week, investigators still had no answers. Then a volunteer diver named Juan Heredia traveled from California after seeing Dane's case online. While searching a stretch of river that had already been examined, he made the discovery everyone had feared. Dane's body was found about 3 miles downstream. The medical examiner ruled his death an accidental drowning. investigators found no evidence of foul play, but as the investigation continued, attention shifted to what had happened before Dane left the house. According to court documents, Dane's father saw him walk out the back door and did not immediately follow him. Investigators later learned that Dane's mother had also realized he was no longer inside the home. By the time family members began searching for him, approximately 15 minutes had passed. Months later, investigators alleged that the incident was part of a broader pattern of inadequate supervision around young children that led to a misdemeanor child neglect charge against Dane's father. The case left many people asking the same question: how was a 2-year-old able to walk from his home toward a river without anyone stopping him?